a political framework for cycling in Los Angeles. It starts with this: cyclists must realize the following. Planning and building a bicycle-friendly city will benefit more than cyclists, but will necessarily remove access and mobility for cars. It's a big point to wrap your head around as a cycling advocate. The vested interests of the last century have been around turning Los Angeles and cities like it into autotopias of a kind. And to say that we're going to move away from that structurally is a very difficult thing to do in LA. We are really up against the wall as cyclists. We don't have the resources that people that benefit from the automobile industry and automobile infrastructure do. We don't have the constituencies that they do. But what we do have is science and good government behind us. And what I mean by that is planning and building a network for cycling has benefits that are not just benefits to cycling. There are benefits with respect to livability. And what I mean by that is surveying people in an area where automobile traffic has been restricted and the road has been made friendly to bikes. Surveying people in those sorts of areas, they report that they know more of their neighbors. They're more likely to attend civic functions. They consider their streets to be social places. And this is all scientifically provable if you believe in sociology. So a simple survey mailed out to people can prove this point, and it proves it over and over again all over the US and the world when access and mobility for automobiles in residential areas is taken away. A second thing that planning for cycling can do in commercial areas, slower automobile speeds tend to capture more commercial foot traffic as well from motorists as well as people in the area who happen to get there for using other modes, people taking the bus, and especially people walking or riding their bike. So retail sales tax data, which is available from the State Board of Equalization. So retail sales tax data, which makes us cycling a natural ally of the small, historic retail districts that dot much of the Los Angeles metropolitan landscape. Third, fewer cars driving on roads tends to lead to less air pollution, less noise from roads, and less environmental degradation in general. And these facts are well known to just about everybody in America now who saw, Al Gore's movie and things like that. But the tough part is getting those sorts of general environmental goals and the people behind them brought into the foray of saying explicitly cycling, moving towards things like cycling and walking are what's going to help us, move away from the things that are bad with an automobile infrastructure. And finally, an automobile-owned society encourages obesity and the related diseases of obesity and a sedentary lifestyle, and allows for horrific crashes, injuries, and death on our roadways to become everyday occurrences that sometimes don't even make it into the paper. So that last point ties cyclist interests, a reduced automobile footprint on the roads. It ties our interests with healthcare providers, health insurance companies. So these interests that we have as cyclists, which necessarily in Los Angeles conflict with that of an automobile-only network, also tie us to a great many money, already established, well-built groups with big constituencies. And to recognize those, it's time for us to recognize that and to pull a political agenda together that will bring them under our tent and say, come to City Hall and help us fight in this particular battle. This is going to help your pet issue, and it's also going to help us because we're bike riders. The power that the BAC has is to talk to the city council and to talk to the mayor's office, both of whom control the city budget, which coincidentally already allocates from $4 to $6 million to bicycle and bicycle-related projects annually. I read through the budget a couple of weeks ago, and that's how I know that, right? It doesn't seem like much, but it's actually a lot when you consider that, we don't really know what we're getting. There's no annual report that breaks it down for us, but there's a lot of resources out there. And also considering that bicycle projects are cheap. So I put this little list of things together to address that power, that budgetary and the statutory power that the mayor and the council have, and that you have the power of addressing when you talk to them. And the first thing I brought up is an official definition of bicycle and pedestrian safety that takes into account the likelihood of cyclist or pedestrian survival when hit by a car moving at a posted speed limit on the road. And right now in Los Angeles, there really is no official definition of bicycle and pedestrian safety. And one exploit of this lack of a definition is that when the LADOT, which they're doing right now, does a study on a road where they want to use radar, they have to take into account, according to state law, bicycle and pedestrian safety. What does that mean? That means the DOT says, well, there are going to be 1 million cars driving on this road over the course of a year, and out of that 1 million trips, we expect 0.2 fatalities per year. And it won't affect bicycles at all. And that's what they put out. One little paragraph in a study, and that's it. If we could get the city to officially make a little law that says bicycle and pedestrian safety means the following, they wouldn't be able to skip over it anymore legally. The engineers would be forced to take this into consideration. They could just bob and weave around it, but it's something to consider. As BAC members, it's not a very hard legislative change to make. You have to go through 2 committees in the city council, or if you wanted to go an easier way, to go to the mayor's office and have him direct the DOT to just change the policy. It wouldn't be as simple matter as that, but that's how you get the process started. All right, the second thing I brought up here is something called the Neighborhood Protection Plan, which is common when a big development like the Warner Center out in Universal City is coming up in the permit process. Or recently in Jack Weiss's district, there is a development where the LADOT has violated the terms of the Neighborhood Protection Plan to protect the interests of the developer for whatever reason. A Neighborhood Protection Plan, the way I'm referring to it, is a traffic mitigation plan to calm down traffic or limit the right-of-way access to various modes that a developer, in this case, the way it's used currently, a private property developer would have to pay for to see done. It might be something useful for the city of LA to use its statutory power and say the LADOT, the next time you plan a big new transportation project, a big grade separation, or a road widening, or a bridge widening, or you're going to try and turn a Sepulveda Boulevard into a one-way, lane, whatever, that you have to do a neighborhood protection plan to ensure that before the plan gets implemented, you measure the street, and after the project is built, you have this neighborhood protection plan that shows that we want to reduce automobile trips, we want to increase safety, we want to increase livability, and there are metrics in the neighborhood protection plan that ensure that. So it's something to consider bringing up with your councilman and the mayor. It already exists, it's already written in the law, there are standards that exist for it, and I don't think it would be too hard to draft it onto an LADOT project. The third thing, and I'm sorry to carry on so long, is to monitor and evaluate our streets in different ways. Right now, in the general plan, in the LA Municipal Code, section 17.05a, the city has official street and highway designations, and they also have official ways that you measure the highway. What do you do to measure a highway in Los Angeles? It turns out not much. You count the number of cars driving on that street, you count how fast they're going, you want to tell the person who's measuring the road to guess how fast someone in a car, or how far they can drive in a 10-minute or a 20-minute period, and that's called mobility. And then you also want to tell the city how many vehicle miles traveled are going on a road. And that's it. That's the way we measure our roads in the city of LA. How many cars, how fast. It's like a sewer pipe measurement. That's a ridiculous way to measure an urban street in Los Angeles. And it's ridiculously easy to change it. And add in scientific standards. For example, trends in retail sales tax income on the street, something worth noting in a commercial district. Crash and injury, fatality reduction, and monitoring in an area. Getting money for the Citywide Bikeway network. As I mentioned before, there is about $4 to $6 million annually allocated to different bicycle projects in the city of LA. The 1997-2002 Bikeway plan, the total cost of that was $60 million. With the current city bicycle budget, we could have had that built, 7 years ago. There are also funds, general transportation funds that are available that could go to bicycles. For example, it's a long list. The Mobile Source Air Pollution Reduction Fund, which is not a gigantic fund, it's like $2 or $3 million. A lot of it goes to ridiculous projects like giving the Environmental Affairs Department a photocopying budget. Why not try and pull some of that money over to bikeways? I've got a full list of some of the things in the city budget. If you guys are interested, you can email me or I can show you after the meeting. And the final thing is to amend the Los Angeles Municipal Code that allows in lieu car parking for bike parking. Right now, if you have a commercial or manufacturing building that's 10,000 square feet of commercial and manufacturing use, you can officially substitute a whopping 2% of your required car parking with bicycle parking, covered quality bicycle parking. Why not change that to make it so instead of 10,000 square feet, it's something ridiculously small, like 100 square feet. So a small mom and pop restaurant that wants to open up in Silver Lake and say, we can't make that car parking requirement, but we can make the bike parking requirement. We can get 20 high quality covered bike parking spaces. It'll save us of having to buy car parking spaces. Things I brought up, I could go on, and I really appreciate your time, and I hope you guys have some time, not this meeting, but the next one, to consider some of these ideas, and I'll help you lobby them in City Hall. Just tell me when and where. Thank you so much.